Always been into hair and makeup since I was a little girl. I decided to leave college and go to cosmetology school when I was 19, and it started from there. Um, I really wanted to build up the right type of clientele. I wanted someone, I knew how to do braids and extensions and all that great stuff, and so I needed to find those right clientele. So living in Vancouver, it was hard to find people that looked like me and had my hair type, so I went to Portland and I became a promoter. And that's how I was able to easily network with people that look like me, that think like me. Yeah, it was called the Love Jones with C Mellow C. I think that's how we go. DJ Mellow C. DJ Mellow C. Yeah, and yeah, it was a great experience because that actually transformed my entire like life by doing that. So, yeah. Well, the advice that I would give to anyone that want to break into the industry that I'm in is actually think outside the box. So, when I mentioned I became a promoter, I mean, definitely that doesn't coincide hand in hand doing hair, but that helped me network, into spaces where I met the right clientele that I wanted to have. And I think that that is the first thing that you need to do is just to think outside the box, to meet different people, and put yourself in spaces that sometimes might make you uncomfortable. But you definitely want to be in spaces that, that resonates with you. Be around people that think like you, and yeah, basically just put your craft and your gifts out there and let people know, what you do. Okay, so I established my business to Viva Styles as a hairstylist, natural hairstylist, in 2007. And obviously, that's been a long time, over 15 years. It takes a time to build up your network, your tribe. Being behind the chair, it was like my first love. But to Viva Styles is more extended than that. I do a lot of behind the scenes for production. So hair and makeup, styling when it comes to commercials, videos, even events. In between building to Biba Styles, I got a chance to go throughout my career as being a stylist behind the chair to being behind the production scene for Prince. And I've been able to do that for 5 years. It takes time for you to grow your craft and your career and anything that you do. Yeah. I'm actually not from Portland originally. I'm from Chicago. Both of my parents are Nigerian, so I am first generation born here in the U.S. I grew up in the Portland and Vancouver area for the past 30 years. So, yeah, I am a Portlander or Portlandian, whatever. Trying to find the right clientele took time. I mean, you really have to be strategic and just kind of really think about what you really want, right? I mean, growing up here from Chicago and then growing up here, I mean, it was definitely a culture shock for me. We moved to Portland first, and then things got a little hectic up in the Northeast. A lot of, at the time was a lot of gangs and all that stuff. So we moved out to Vancouver. And of course, I mean, I was like the only black kid in school. So in my grade, actually. And it took a while for me to get used to that. But growing up in that space made me want more people, wanted me to see more people that looked like me. And so, I mean, Portland was the closest place for me to do so. And so I went over the bridge and just started networking and, putting my cards out there and putting myself out there and see who, gravitated towards me. Oh gosh. Okay. So Bloom Beauty Collective that started in 2017. So 10 years later from Tabiba Styles, and that was basically right after leaving a 5-year tour with Prince. Me coming back home and realizing that I wasn't going to go back out again once he passed, and me trying to figure out what my next move was, because I mean, I already did what I could do in Portland, I thought, but I wanted to think about exactly what it looked like for my community, because I longed for something different. And Portland didn't really have that. I mean, we will have people throw events here and there, and that was, when it came to the beauty industry, it was mostly the salons or the barbers that would put up these, different type of shows, but it wasn't, consistent. So I definitely wanted to come to Portland and to highlight people of color that was in the creative industry. And I got really ambitious and started out with a 2-day event that was at the Aloft. And it was basically geared to creative entrepreneurs or people who were professionals and then wanted to hone into their dreams and figure out how to navigate through that. And so we talked about, of course, mental wellness to hair care and learning how to pretty much put yourself together. We had Brandon Gaston, who's a life stylist, that came in and spoke about how to present yourself when you want to be in certain spaces that may be uncomfortable for you. That was our base of how Bloom Beauty Collective started. But then I really wanted to show that all that work can transpire into something bigger, and Bloom Runway came about. And I've always been behind the scenes when it comes to fashion shows. I started that, I was behind the scenes in the Portland fashion shows for 10 years. I was the only person of color that was behind the scenes as far as hair and makeup was concerned, or production as a whole. And I wanted to see more people that looked like me. When we had talent that we had to do hair and makeup for, they were really uncomfortable by letting someone else that didn't look like them. So I had a long line of people of color that was waiting for them to get their hair done. And so I thought, you know what? Our community needs something like that.
Welcome to XB. XB will instantly immerse you in an intimate experience with Black communities and cities all across the nation. Our first pillar, Connection, provides information about upcoming events and activations for the mind, body, and soul. Our second pillar, Culture, will be our bridge to the consciousness of our community, united in evolution. And our third, Community, provides a convenient avenue to various goods and services offered by African American retailers and entrepreneurs. Connection, Culture, Community. XB.
So my second event at for the Bloom Runway was at the World Trade Center. And it was definitely something that it was symbolic, because it was represented the communities that was here in Portland that never been highlighted when it came to bigger events that was shown in Portland, Oregon. So I made it so. I definitely wanted to have a diverse vendor showcase to a diverse line of designers. I wanted to bring all parts of our community together, from professionals to creatives to athletes to people that were really into the communities and for the next generation, like SEI, Self Enhancement Inc., to Portland, Travel Portland, and bringing that together. Just showing that, hey, we have really amazing, creative, professional people of color here in Portland that really shine, and I wanted to create that platform for them. So, Bloom Beauty Collective, Bloom Runway. I mean, what it was like to produce an event like that, it was a lot of hard work. It was like a lot of training that I have gone throughout the years, from working with Prince and seeing what that looked like, throwing a huge live production and how many pieces that come along with it, to being behind the scenes at a fashion show and watching the producer in the corner, making sure that all the designers and the models were in place and in order, and just making sure that I was present into whatever space that I was in, and I was able to take all that knowledge and pour it into Bloom Beauty Collective. And definitely took some time, because every event, you needed the right people around you, right? You wanted the right people who think like you, who was motivated to be able to create this movement that Bloom was trying to create. So it was definitely a process, It was, you know, when it comes to doing a fashion show, I mean, it was all about finding the right talent. So we, you know, held a big casting call. And I mean, so many people from different ages, shapes, and sizes, and color and race came. And that was our thing, was to make sure that we had a well diverse event space for people that felt like, you know, they can be themselves and enjoy something that they love, which is, you know, music and fashion and art. So it was definitely a great process. And just like when I think about, you know, Prince, and he was definitely someone I really looked up to. People never understood as why he changed artists or that he worked with, you know, so often. And it was all about a vibe to him. And it was all about, like, if you didn't have the right people who felt the same, thought the same, or think the way, it wouldn't, things wouldn't gel right. Things wouldn't, you know, run as smoothly as you would want to. So sometimes you need to be around people that you can, you know, like I said, have like-minded individuals that, you know, that is about that entity, that situation or that event, and create something amazing. And that's where bloom comes up. The word bloom is just coming together and making something beautiful and make it blossom. And that that process of production is like having a little seed and watching it grow and blossom. So yeah, it was a beautiful thing. It was a labor of love. I want another fashion show. I guess what's holding me back definitely has been the pandemic. We've done two fashion shows in the past 5 years, and we was going to get ready for the third one for 2020, and we only had 1 month away before we was going to actually showcase, and then the pandemic hit. I really want to come back to that, but I wanted to make it a little bit different. I wanted to acknowledge that it was obviously needed, because I always hear the same question all the time: when we're going to have another one. And my goal is hopefully to do it in the next coming year, in 23, 24. And if so, please support. The only way that we can make it great and grand again is when we have our community supporting an event that they really want to see and have. Okay, so my high yoga, that was actually dubbed by my friend Jonathan Riley, who is the CEO of Better Marketing. He's been a really close friend and a huge supporter of Bloom Beauty Collective. He was watching me. Well, I do yoga. I started yoga for myself, for my body, because I've been standing for the past 30 years, and just having this chronic back spasm. And I saw my sister starting to do yoga, and she did that mainly for her joints because she has lupus. And you know, she was just trying to make sure that her body still moved the way that she wanted to move. And she was like, "You should try it." And I tried it, and I loved it. I loved how it made me feel. You know, I had to start using certain ointments. I like to use CBD-based ointments, and any other products that will help my body relax when I'm going through a transformation within my body. But yoga is not just only physical; it's mental, it's spiritual. It's something that I had to kind of grow into, which I'm still growing into. You know, when we mentioned the pandemic, I had to figure out what I was going to do with my time. So I decided to take a crash course to become a yoga instructor. And I have yet to finish because the pandemic was over, and then I started hitting running force into all the other things. But I do see myself falling back into creating a space for people of color and in all shapes and sizes, and to show them what yoga can do for their body and do for their mental and their spiritual being self. Okay, so with yoga, it's more of a motivation, inspirational kind of like status. So record myself on time lapse every morning, and I just put it up, and I just hope that it helps motivate people to just to move their bodies every morning. It helps motivate people to actually even try yoga, because a lot of people think that yoga is just for skinny white people. At the end of the day, that's basically what we normally see, right? But yeah, so definitely just coming soon. Just keep a lookout on me for on Instagram. I do have my High Yoga page, so I will start, adding some new content on there, and just kind of really sharing about what yoga can do for you. I really hope that the Bloom Runway will come back in 2023, 24. So that is definitely my goal. Catch me on IG. I'm the only Abibat Durosimi on there, so you can see like 5 different of my platforms. So IG, Tabiba Styles, Bloom Beauty Collective, My High Yoga, and just me, Abibat Durosimi.